let's get into a robotics and hardware problem as related to self-driving cars. It all begins, in my potted history, with a chap called Sebastian Thrun, if you want to say his name correctly. The Americans do say Thrun, but he is a German. He is a German chap who worked in various institutions before emigrating to the States. And he really pioneered the idea of getting a vehicle to enable itself to navigate a terrain. Funnily enough, if you were to dig into a couple of the books around this, including one that came out this year by Alex Davies, Thrun didn't think it was possible to build a self-driving car. He said, you got to give me at least some methods of intervening. If I'm allowed a couple of human interventions, I reckon we can do it. That is, of course, not what a self-driving car is. But Thrun himself did not think it was possible. And his efforts were, and largely are still, essentially a hardware brute force approach, employing things that don't normally go onto a car to make a car do a thing that a human will do. Compute, hardware, robotics, that was the focus, that was the big challenge. And that led to, in 2005, the DARPA Grand Challenge, which what you see there, rather amusingly, is Stanford University's entrance into the DARPA project to have a self-driving car navigate a terrain. As you can see, and as you might be able to infer if you know the expense that LiDAR, which is what those things on the top are, actually amounts to, this was 5 LiDAR sensors shooting out essentially light in order to detect range and detect objects. It won't know what the objects are, it just knows that that's a thing you can't drive through. And this was live input data only, with actually a little bit of machine learning involved, but the machine learning was mainly around object detection, vectors, direction, and so on. If you were to open up that car and have a look at the chaos inside, there were retrofitted electric motors, there were pistons shifting a manual gear stick. It's the most amazing thing. It really is quite staggering they got it to work. And it did work, and they won, I think it's $2 million. They won that DARPA Grand Challenge in 2005. It probably doesn't bear mentioning that this is an undrivable vehicle by humans. Like, I don't think you could even really fit humans in the back. But this is the first step that was taken, and it's best described this way: this approach is mostly a robot driving a car, except that robot doesn't look like a human and doesn't sit in the driver's seat. It is essentially there to almost take the place of a human. Forgive me while I realize that my Slack is so aggressive that even when I've shut it down, it still talks. So I'm going to just switch that off. So yeah, this first approach by Thrun and the others at Stanford, working under what was now Waymo, Google's self-driving project, was build a robot that sort of goes around and inside a car that makes the car do things, that makes the car navigate around objects. So